What if I told you that one man's ability to tap into humanity's deepest fears and desires could bring an entire nation under his spell? Adolf Hitler didn't rise to power through brute force or sheer charisma alone. He mastered the art of psychological manipulation. His methods weren't just about hate, they were calculated tools designed to exploit vulnerabilities, amplify divisions, and create a cult-like following. Today, we'll uncover how he weaponized propaganda, fear, and human psychology to reshape Germany and the world. Let's start with the foundation of his ascent. Hitler wasn't born a leader. He was shaped by circumstances, failures, and a relentless drive to understand people. Born in 1889 in Austria-Hungary, young Adolf dreamed of becoming an artist, a dream that would ultimately shatter when he was rejected twice from the Vienna Academy of Fine Arts. But this rejection proved pivotal. Struggling as a failed painter and living on scraps in Vienna's gritty streets, Hitler began observing society around him. He devoured books on politics, philosophy, and history, all while watching politicians rally crowds in coffee houses and public squares. It dawned on him early. Persuasion wasn't about facts, it was about emotion. Fear is easier to spread than hope. Anger unites more effectively than reason, and resentment can be channeled into loyalty if packaged correctly. By the time he joined the German Workers' Party, later renamed the Nazi Party, he had already honed his skills as a manipulator. Fast forward to the aftermath of World War I, where Germany lay shattered, economically crippled, politically unstable, and emotionally scarred. The Treaty of Versailles imposed crippling reparations, territorial losses, and a national shame so profound it created fertile ground for radical ideologies. Hitler seized this moment, stepping onto the stage with a message tailored perfectly to wounded pride. We've been betrayed. We're victims of conspiracies, and only I can restore your greatness. He identified scapegoats, Jews, communists, liberals, and framed them as enemies of the state. This wasn't random hatred. It was engineered chaos designed to unite Germans against a common foe. Resentment became fuel, and Hitler positioned himself as the savior who would lead them out of despair. But here's where things get truly chilling. Hitler understood something primal about human nature. We're wired to follow authority, especially when it promises certainty in uncertain times. People crave order, even if it comes wrapped in cruelty. To achieve this, Hitler deployed two powerful psychological principles: fear and conformity. Fear kept individuals compliant, whether it was fear of punishment, ostracism, or losing their place in society. Conformity ensured that dissent felt dangerous and isolation unbearable. Once you frame opposing views as unpatriotic or traitorous, silence becomes survival. Entire communities turned inward, afraid to question the narrative being sold to them. Even ordinary citizens, once decent and law-abiding, found themselves complicit, not because they were evil, but because resistance seemed impossible. Now, let's talk about propaganda, the cornerstone of Hitler's strategy. Joseph Goebbels, his minister of propaganda, famously said, "If you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it." And boy, did they deliver. Under Goebbels' direction, every form of media became a tool to distort reality. Posters plastered across cities depicted Jews as rats spreading disease, undermining the purity of the Aryan race. Newspapers churned out stories painting Aryans as destined heroes, reclaiming their rightful place in the world. Radio broadcasts blared Nazi ideology into homes daily, ensuring no citizen was immune. Children weren't spared either. Textbooks were rewritten, and youth groups indoctrinated them with slogans like "One people, one Reich, one Führer." These messages weren't just repeated, they were amplified until truth blurred into fiction. What started as whispers grew into roars, drowning out critical thinking and planting seeds of division. Hitler didn't stop at controlling thoughts. he controlled emotions too. Rallies weren't just political events, they were spectacles designed to overwhelm the senses. Imagine standing among thousands in Nuremberg, surrounded by massive banners bearing swastikas, torches lighting up the night sky, and chants echoing like thunder. These gatherings tapped into something visceral, a sense of belonging, purpose, and power. For many Germans, these moments felt electrifying, almost spiritual. Hitler knew that raw emotion trumps rational thought every time, and he used it to forge a collective identity rooted in fear and fervor. The grandeur of these events wasn't accidental. It was meticulously orchestrated to make participants feel part of something larger than themselves. Dissent, that felt like betrayal not just to the regime, but to the very soul of the nation. As his grip tightened, Hitler introduced another insidious tactic: surveillance. Ordinary citizens became informants, reporting neighbors, friends, and even family members suspected of disloyalty. Trust vanished overnight, replaced by paranoia. You couldn't speak freely without wondering if someone might turn you in. Gestapo agents prowled the streets, their presence a constant reminder that Big Brother was always watching. This culture of fear wasn't incidental. It was deliberate, creating an invisible prison where freedom died quietly. People stopped questioning, stopped resisting, stopped hoping. They survived instead, clinging to whatever scraps of normalcy remained. Hitler also weaponized symbols to reinforce his dominance. Swastikas appeared everywhere, from flags fluttering over government buildings to armbands worn by soldiers. Uniforms transformed individuals into extensions of the state, erasing personal identity in favor of collective obedience. Architecture played its part too. Monuments and structures were built on a colossal scale, dwarfing humans and emphasizing the insignificance of individuality compared to the glory of the Reich. Every aspect of life, visual, auditory, emotional, was saturated with reminders of Hitler's omnipotence. Resistance wasn't just discouraged, it was rendered unthinkable. Hitler's regime didn't collapse because his followers suddenly woke up to the truth. No, the atrocities committed under his rule were hidden behind layers of denial, justification, and manufactured ignorance. Ordinary citizens turned a blind eye, not because they were evil, but because they were trapped in a web of psychological coercion. Fear kept them silent. Fear of punishment, fear of being ostracized, fear of losing everything they'd been promised. Even today, echoes of his tactics can be seen in modern demagoguery, media manipulation, and authoritarian regimes. As the echoes of history fade into silence, one question lingers in the air. How could millions follow a man who orchestrated such devastation? The answer lies not in the past, but within ourselves. Human nature is both fragile and malleable, capable of greatness yet vulnerable to manipulation. Hitler didn't just exploit fear. He tapped into something far deeper, the desire for belonging, certainty, and purpose. And therein lies the danger. Today, we live in a world that feels vastly different, yet eerily familiar. Algorithms curate our realities. Headlines stoke division, and fear still spreads faster than hope. The tools may have evolved, but the playbook remains the same. So ask yourself, are you truly thinking for yourself, or has someone else already shaped your thoughts? History doesn't repeat itself, we repeat it. But here's the power you hold: awareness. By understanding how minds can be swayed, how truths can be twisted, and how fear can be weaponized, you take the first step toward breaking the cycle. Stay curious, stay vigilant, because freedom isn't just given. It's earned every day through critical thought and courage. Remember this: those who fail to learn from history aren't just doomed to repeat it. They risk becoming its architects.